think we're good. I have some thoughts about this new Foo Fighters album, but here we are. Legendary post-grunge alt-rock band, the Foo Fighters, are back yet again for another helping of righteous anthems and everything in between. This time around, though, the band has taken a noticeably more noisy approach to their usually arena-safe hard rock sound. A change that I am more than happy to welcome, so long as they bring the songwriting chops to justify it. Now, this album also comes in the wake of the very untimely passing of longtime member, drummer, Taylor Hawkins. And that does inform a lot of the lyrical subject matter on this thing. It is a bit of a grieving album. It is a bit of an exorcism, in a sense. To kick things off, I'm a big fan of the song Under You, which is a kick-ass alt-rock cut that throws back just a little bit to their earlier Foo Fighters sound. I'm super fond of the muscular drums and guitars. The sentimental chord progression and vocal performance sell the subject matter adequately too. I'm also a massive fan of the song Nothing at All. This is a totally raw, blistering rager. It's easily one of the more propulsive tracks here, and Dave brings a totally venomous vocal performance. The playing here is high octane, and it's a moment where the rough around the edges mix is complemented by a tightly crafted song. I hate to say it though, this album is not without its flaws. Hearing Voices is a pretty by-the-numbers Foo track, unfortunately. The guitars on this thing alternate between these super washy two-note lines and an equally bland but slightly more distorted chord progression on the chorus. The tune and even the subject matter at the core of this thing suffers because the surrounding elements do very little to compel my ears, if that makes sense. By contrast though, The Glass is a perfectly crafted post-grunge style ode to a lost friend. The lyrics stay pretty simple and musically it doesn't do anything crazy, but between the really sweet chord progression and the heartfelt sentiment on this thing, it gets me. Every time. The metaphor for having this invisible glass barrier between you and this person you've lost is also a really nice piece of imagery. The title track on this thing is one of the few instances on the album where everything is so bricked out, Dave's voice just has little to no presence at all. The slightly angular drums and guitar riffs on the verses are completely done away with for one of the more overwrought choruses on the whole album, with Dave elongating the ends of each line in, I hate to say it, a kind of goofy way. Even the guitar solo towards the end of this track just feels like such a phone-in for a rock song. I guess I can appreciate the overall kinetic energy this song is bringing though, especially those fills at various points that get executed with a great deal of speed and ferocity, especially towards the end of the track. Show Me How is a super blobby alt-rock ballad with what sounds like these attempts to usher in some shoegaze guitar. It sounds like Dave and co trying to do their best Ride impression, while simultaneously trying to write the most radio-friendly 90s era love song of all time. I am not crazy about this one at all. I'm sorry. There's just so little for me to grab onto here. It feels like a wasted opportunity to really nail this particular sound and style. The song Beyond Me is another heartfelt ode to losing a loved one and having to somehow move on and adjust to life without them. The Light Is in the Sky power balladry on this one sounds like something that you might get out of an Aerosmith song, but grunged up a little bit. Okay, maybe a lot. My biggest gripe with this track is that Dave's voice gets smothered so badly on the chorus, particularly by the guitars. It's beyond me how the producer could let this happen. Considering that this is not one of the more gripping songs in this vein on this album, it would have been nice to at least have the vocals pumped up just a tad, just to make them matter a little bit more. The 10-minute long The Teacher manages to keep itself genuinely enthralling for its runtime. The contrast between the more driving, punky sections and the quieter moments of clean guitar and vocals are balanced super tastefully, especially as the track continues to build tension. Dave cycles through a series of refrains that detail his uncertainties and even his anxiety at what's to come in his life. He even seems to be grappling with his own mortality at certain points here too. This thing is seriously epic Like, one of the best Foo songs I've heard in a long time. It's fluidly composed and sees Dave and the band's ambitions pay off. Rest is the album's hurt moment. The almost whispered vocals and downtrodden guitar really do hint at this Reznor influence. Lyrically speaking, this also reads as a definitive point of closure for the band. The explosion of searing industrial guitars and what sounds like sawtooth synthesizers at the 2-minute 40 mark pretty much carry out the rest of the song. This sonic chaos really feels like an avenue for catharsis to me. All of the negative emotions that have been felt in the wake of Taylor's passing are being exercised through this very overwhelming, brittle lashing of noise. It's a pretty powerful, bittersweet ending to an otherwise slightly rocky album. I am pleased that the band decided to throw caution to the wind and take a sonic risk on this one. It is a relatively consistent album, aesthetically and lyrically as well, with a lot of these songs touching on, as I mentioned, Taylor Hawkins' passing. And I shouldn't forget Dave's mother as well, who passed away not too long after Taylor. Unfortunately, though, the handful of positives that this project brings are also marred by some slightly detrimental production choices, underwritten songs, and just very average Foo Fighters moments that have kind of stained a lot of their post-90s output. For that, I'm definitely giving this thing a 6.0. out of 10. A flat 6. Oh, I wanted to love this thing so much more. What did you think about the album? Did you like it? Did you think it was just alright? Did you hate it, like, more than I was negative about it? What's your favorite Foo Fighters song? What's your favorite Foo Fighters album? Who's your favorite Foo Fighters member? Which Foo Fighters member are you? I mean, I'm tempted to say Dave Grohl because I'm a drummer as well. Let me know if you want. I'm not going to force you. Please do leave a like and a comment and a subscribe if you are a fan of any of this at all. Start harassing me to review things as well, because I really need to pick up my game. Seriously, I'm not doing this enough. See, I've been managing my pins and needles throughout the video, so they're actually not as bad at the moment, and I'm actually not going to have a big meltdown about it, so I'm just going to leave it at that. You ready? Bye!